Hi everyone, we hope you're well and have been finding inspiration to make music. If you're watching this, you know that we've been working on something new. Well, hi everyone, we hope you're well and have been finding inspiration to make music. If you're watching this, you know that we've been working on something new. Well, we're always working on new projects in the labs, but today we're excited to finally tell you about our latest creation. Now, if you know us, you're aware that with any new product we make, we always strive to bring something unique and new to the world of music makers. And when we set out to create this pedal, we had the most adventurous sonic explorers in mind. We envisioned a reverb pedal that could go where none have gone before. This is NightSky Time Warped Reverberator. NightSky is more than just a reverb pedal. It's a reverberant synthesis workstation and a powerful, hands-on, experimental sound design platform. Create vast soundscapes with just a few notes from your instrument. Apply mind-bending pitch and harmonic manipulation to your reverb tails with synth-like filter sweeps. We wanted to give you a world of new sounds that blow away the boundaries of what is possible with reverb. NightSky achieves some of its most mind-altering sounds by using a variable process rate for its reverb core, allowing you to simultaneously change the size of the reverb as well as the pitch. This pitch change can even be quantized to a variety of musical scales. Add motion to your sounds with NightSky's full-featured modulation section. Use shimmer to shift their harmonic structure by selectable musical intervals. Add glimmer to dynamically enhance the harmonic spectrum. Turn up drive to generate saturated, overdriven harmonics. Sculpt the resulting signal with NightSky's synth-like variable resonance low-pass filter. Then arrange your work with the powerful 8-step sequencer. NightSky gives you front panel access to 16 presets and 300 via MIDI, stereo ins and outs with a premium analog JFET front end, analog dry path, expression control, line level switch, and of course, a super powerful Shark processor under the hood. NightSky can be pre-ordered at strymon.net, or you can reach out to one of our many friendly Strymon retailers. Retail price is $429. Up next are 3 more videos that go into further detail about NightSky. First up is a sound sample video with many examples of what NightSky is capable of. Please feel free to ask us any questions in the comments, and as always, we hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for your support, and thanks for watching. NightSky features a powerful and easy-to-use 8-step sequencer. Each step effectively changes the size pitch setting and can be easily tuned in half-step increments or to notes in the musical scale of your choosing, or it can be tuned freely with no pitch quantization at all. The sequencer can be set to advance a single step each time you press a foot switch, or it can run automatically at a tap tempo. Individual steps can be instantly activated or deactivated as the sequence runs, and you can set a variable glide time for smooth pitch transitions between steps. Sequences are saved per preset. In the next video, we'll check out what NightSky's sequencer can do. In our final video for the evening, Strymon sound designer and DSP engineer Pete Selly takes us on an in-depth tour of NightSky.
In the same manner that an analog delay uses a variable rate process to change the delay time, or a mechanical delay uses a variable rate media speed to change the delay time, we've applied that concept to the entire reverb core and some surrounding blocks. So it changes the dynamic response of the reverb, but it also maintains the structure and integrity of the audio within the reverb, which lends itself to some synthesis style techniques such as sequencing and pitch modulation. The unique architecture, along with extensive control over harmonics and voicing, creates a process that we like to call reverberant synthesis. The controls in NightSky are grouped together in sections that correspond with different aspects of the signal path in a way that makes it easy to focus on one particular characteristic of the sound as you're developing it. I'm going to describe each section in an overview before we dive in and see what it sounds like. At the top left, we have the mod section. This provides full-featured modulation control of 3 selectable targets with a total of 6 waveforms to choose from. The decay section controls the core of the reverb, selecting the particular reverb architecture, the decay length, and the size of the structure. The tone section controls the equalization of the reverberated signal, adjusting the high and low frequency content and selecting the nature of the high frequency equalization. The voice section controls the harmonic structure of the reverb by shifting, highlighting, and creating harmonics at the reverb output. The mix section determines the output level of the dry and reverberated signals independently. With the dry knob set to noon, the signal passes through at unity gain. At minimum, no dry signal will be present. When set to maximum, a 3 dB boost is achieved. Let's get started with the decay section. This sets the underlying dynamic response and characteristics of the core reverb. NightSky has 3 individual reverb architectures which are selected by the texture setting. The first texture selection is the sparse reverb. This uses a limited number of reverb reflections to create a set of sparse echoes that are audible with staccato inputs but turn into a nice, smooth, clean reverb with sustained inputs. There you can hear the individual reflections rattling around when I struck the string staccato at the end of those chords. The dense texture is a unique architecture that creates a fast response with many reflections similar to a plate reverb. So there, by contrast, you can hear the smooth response of the dense texture when presented with a transient input. The third selection is the diffuse texture. This algorithm employs many diffusers to expand the dynamic response of the reverb into a slow building wash. So there you hear the slower nature, the building nature of the diffuse texture. The length knob sets the reverb length or decay time of the reverb. At maximum, nearly infinite reverbs will occur. We'll go back to the sparse texture and increase the length. So here we're listening to the reverb in its most basic format with all the other controls set to minimum so that there's no other coloration of the reverb. We'll talk much more about the modulation in a bit, but I'm going to add a little bit of modulation to that reverb core to add a little color and sweeten it up a bit. And we'll increase the decay to maximum. So that creates a very nice, sustained, smooth reverb tail there. The sparse texture also is a good place to explore the size/pitch knob because of the distinct reflections that can be heard with shorter inputs. The size pitch knob varies the process rate that the reverb core runs at. This is a unique way to expand and contract the size of the entire reverb structure. For now we're going to focus on the size aspect of the knob, and we'll look at the implications for pitch later on. An interesting thing to note there is that as the size changes, the decay length remains relatively constant. The two parameters are largely independent, so you can set a decay length and then experiment with different structure sizes. Next to the size pitch knob, there's a button labeled Quantize, and we'll take a sneak peek into the pitch aspects here to demonstrate the function of that Quantize button. We're also going to use the infinite function, which is a foot switch at the bottom right of the pedal, to hold an input, and we'll demonstrate the differences in the quantize settings. In the scale quantize, you can select from 8 scales to quantize a scale pitch knob. The half step is half step quantization over 2 octaves, and the smooth is continuous variable pitch over a range of 2.5 octaves. Now let's take a look at the tone section and see how we can sculpt the frequency response of the reverb. So the low cut progressively removes low frequency content from the reverb as you turn the knob up. The high cut will remove high frequency content from the reverb as the knob is increased, and there are 2 different ways that can happen as selected by the filter button, which will select either regenerative damping or post-reverb synthesis style filtering. So you can hear that damping nature within the reverb, and because it is regenerative, the longer the decay length is set, the more you'll hear it. The low pass filter allows the reverb to regenerate without damping and applies a 4-pole variable Q filter to the output. The minimum cutoff is 20 Hz, so you can filter out the entirety of the wet signal by turning the high cut to maximum. Here's the filter sweep at the maximum Q setting. At minimum Q setting, the voice section works with the harmonic content of the reverb. It has 3 components: shimmer, glimmer, and drive. NightSky has 2 flavors of shimmer. Input adds a shimmer effect to the reverb core input, and regen adds a regenerating shimmer effect within the reverb core. The interval knob sets the shimmer interval, and the shimmer knob sets the shimmer amount. With the shimmer knob set at minimum, there will be no shimmer effect. The intervals on the front panel of NightSky are chosen to be musically useful and interesting, and through MIDI, every half-step interval from -1 octave to +1 octave is available. I'm going to use the mix section to reduce the dry and increase the reverberated signal to highlight the shimmer effect and try a couple of different intervals. With the regen setting, the overall intensity will be dependent on the size, pitch, and the decay length knob, as they determine how quickly the regenerations happen and how many regenerations happen. Now we reduce the size and hear the greater intensity as the regenerations happen quicker. Regenerating major seconds with small size and long decay will create a dream sequence-like effect. Similar settings with an octave down can create an ominous rumble of descending octaves below the input. The Glimmer section highlights harmonics through a specially tuned resonant network with 2 bands to choose from. So there you hear the high band glimmer, giving a nice washy aspect to the top end as it highlights the very upper harmonics of the signal. The low band glimmer highlights harmonics lower in the spectrum, and you can hear it highlighting a variety of harmonics as it catches them. The drive block is a soft clipping nonlinear gain process that can be applied prior to the reverb core or after the reverb core. With the drive block before the reverb core in the pre-position, the distorted signal will be present throughout the reverb decay. In the post position, the reverb output feeds into the drive block, so that as the reverb decays, the signal will clean up. Since my signal path is iridium into NightSky, the distortion products created in NightSky when the drive block is on are going straight into the interface. So you're hearing a little bit of raspiness in that particular setting, and that's where the high cut filter can really come in handy. We'll do that same thing, but roll off some of those high frequencies by employing some low pass filtering. So there you hear how it cleans up nicely as the decay trails off. Now, of course, all these processes are available simultaneously in the voice section, so that's when some of the fun can really start, when we see how they work together to create new interesting reverb textures and sounds. Here's one of my favorite settings. I'm using the sparse texture at a larger size, along with the input shimmer at a -5th interval, and low band glimmer, and some post drive. what sounded like me using a whammy bar is actually being created from the modulation section, which we're going to take a look at next. I used a ramp waveform there, which has an interesting interaction with the sparse texture to create that effect. The mod section, in addition to speed and depth knobs, allows you to select from 3 different parameters to modulate and gives you a variety of waveforms to choose from. The first target parameter is labeled verb. This modulates the delay lines within the reverb core. It's the traditional method of modulating a reverb and adds dimension and depth to the reverberated signal. In NightSky, when modulating the verb delay lines, the triangle wave shape produces a multi-phase waveform to enhance the smoothness of the modulation effect. The other shapes produce single-phase waveforms, which allows the shape to be more apparently audible. Here you'll hear the ramp waveform as it rises and then descends abruptly. At faster speeds, the ramp waveforms can create a nice vibrato effect within the reverb core. Let's check out the ramp down waveform for that. Since each of the texture types in NightSky are completely different architectures, they'll respond in slightly different ways to the various modulations. Let's try some random modulation on the dense texture. I've added some regenerating fifths as an enhancement. The next modulation target is pitch. This will modulate the process rate that the reverb core and some surrounding blocks run at, and the modulation produces anywhere from subtle movements at low depth settings to wild gyrations at higher settings. With the quantization set to half step or scale, larger pitch modulation depths will follow the selected quantization. To demonstrate this, I'm going to use the infinite function to hold a tone. In this example, I'm going to use the envelope wave shape, which tracks the signal of the guitar to adjust the parameter. The third modulation target is filter. This will modulate the high cut parameter. It'll be very subtle in the regen setting, and the low pass setting will give more traditional synthesizer style LFO filter response. When set to filter, the triangle wave actually produces a sine wave, which is the traditional method of modulation for that classic sweep. The filter resonance parameter can be a powerful tool when modulating the filter cutoff. The following two examples are identical, except the first one is with maximum Q and the second one is with minimum Q. And the classic sample and hold random filter with a high Q. NightSky has a sequence mode where you can store up to 8 steps of intervals that can either auto-sequence at a tempo set by the tap switch, or can be stepped through sequentially by stepping on the step sequence button. Here I've set up a simple 3-step sequence with step 2 an octave higher than step 1 and step 3 an octave higher than step 2. I'm going to use the step sequence foot switch to manually advance from one step to the next. You could hear the portamento effect between steps there. The portamento time is adjustable from immediate to about 3 seconds. By using the infinite feature, we can store audio and have it play chord or scale sequences based on the intervals that are stored in the sequence. When audio is held with the infinite button, you can select whether additional input from your guitar is processed by the sequence or sent through dry. Here I'm playing through a Strymon volante delay on the dry signal as I play over a sequence of minor chords. When in sequence mode, a lit button indicates an active step. Pressing on that button will remove the step from the sequence. We can set up a fast single note sequence and have some fun by manipulating the active sequence steps. The various sections, and this can serve really as an introduction, but by no means a complete treatment of the possibilities that are available in NightSky. Each musician will have their own vision for how it can be used and how it can best serve their musical creative process.